Notices were duly posted, and the meeting was advertised in the Hunterdon County Democrat and Courier News. Formal action may be taken. Can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Dorn,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hampel,
Yes.
Rob McCallan,
Yes.
Melissa Zanto,
Here.
Eric Zeroin,
Here.
Anna Shin,
Here.
Laura Simon.
Here.
Tom is absent.
Can we stand for the flag salute?
I did that this morning already. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start tonight with a recognition of two board members who will be leaving us as of tonight. Melissa and Wayne, this is your last board meeting, so congratulations. It's been a pleasure working with you over the past 6 months, at least that I've been here, and I'm sure that the board has their experiences with you. This is a completely voluntary position to which you've dedicated a lot of time. So thank you very much for your service to the students of Readington. We very, very much appreciate it. And as a token of our appreciation, we just have a small recognition for you. So Melissa. Thank you very much. And Wayne. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So thank you both very much for your service. Very much appreciated.
I'll say my thing later.
Okay.
This is the
Got it.
superintendent's
Superintendent's
time.
report. Got it. So moving forward, tonight we have a presentation on safety and security for the board. So tonight, what I'd like to do is review with you really the next big step in moving toward creating a school environment that's safe and secure for our students. Tonight, the presentation, my goals are, one, for us to review some of the things that we've done, even just this past fall and spring, or fall and summer, some of the safety and security enhancements and projects that we've done. And then secondly, talk about the next step moving forward. So first, what's happened so far? So since I've arrived in September, I think there's been, or in July, I should say, there's been quite a bit that we've done. First, we've done building walkthroughs with the Readington Township Chief of Police, a lieutenant from the Hunterdon County Prosecutor's Office, and the State of New Jersey Office of School Preparedness and Emergency Planning. And Chief Greco is here tonight with us, knowing that we were going to talk about safety and security this evening. The purpose of this in September really was to get the opinion of law enforcement about what some of our next steps should be in moving forward with safety and security. In addition to that, this past summer, there were some projects that we did. We did our camera update. We did our phone system update, which the cameras are now enhanced. We have more cameras in the district too. The phone system has increased capabilities for safety and security for our students. We've convened the safety and security team, revised our safety and security plan, and thank you, Sherry, for all the work that you've done on that too. The safety and security plan, the revisions that we have so far in the draft proposal that we have, or the draft plan that we have that we're fine tuning at this moment, is over 100 pages long. And we've really taken a good close look at some of our protocols within the district. We've updated our visitor protocols, and there have been so many training opportunities that we've sent Sherry to, that we've had Chief Greco come in and offer for our staff. We've sent our front office staff to across the state, and all of these things in an effort really to increase the safety and security for our students. So what's next? Where are we headed? Information was gathered, and after these security walkthroughs with law enforcement, we created a priority list, and we've shared it with the Finance Committee, and you'll hear about it a little bit tonight in the Finance report. So we are proposing to the Board of Education tonight a resolution on the agenda to move forward with double entry vestibules. So I'm going to walk through sort of the why, the what, the where, the how are we going to do this. So first, safety and security is of the highest priority for us. It's in our strategic plan. The feedback that we've received from law enforcement is that vestibules are, and correct me, Chief, I think it was #1 on the priority list for,
absolutely.
for-
We just talked about it.
yeah,
You know, I agree with you 100% that, you know, this is a good way to kind of corral people, for lack of a better term,
Mhm.
before they enter the school and, you know, not allow them to enter the school. They can still be out of the weather and out of the elements. I think it's great.
and this came out of some of our walkthroughs earlier in the year with Chief, the Lieutenant, and even the State Department. And then the vestibules have been something that's been a topic of discussion since the town hall forum that you had in March. Even prior to my arrival here, I know that vestibules was a topic that was discussed. So this is why we're doing it. This is why this is on the priority list. So exactly what are they and where? The project will encompass 4 vestibules, double entry vestibules at 3 Bridges main entrance, the White House School main entrance, the RMS main entrance, and then the board office wing here at Hollandbrook. And you can see the picture. That is not one of our vestibules because we don't have one, but the picture you can see at the bottom, a double entry vestibule, for those of you who don't know, is a 2-entry passageway for visitors to come into a building. They would buzz into a first set of doors, and the second set of doors would be locked. And in that first set of doors within the vestibule would be a pass-through window, which is the second part of the project, where they would be able to interact with somebody in the main office. Those second set of doors would be locked and only would be open for visitors or individuals that had business in the school. Safety security film on the glass, and an update to our access control system. So all of our cards that allow the staff members to enter the buildings are getting relatively old. And we know that with this project, we're going to need to update those. We're also going to put various locations around the buildings to have some access control. So when a teacher goes outside for a class lesson, experiment, or for an extra recess, they don't have to prop open a door. They have access to get back in. When the vestibule project is scheduled to begin, after tonight and after our conversation, then moving forward, we want to do a bid. We want to begin this summer and have it be completed before students come back in September. How? We'll be using our capital reserve funds. The project will be in the window of $1 million project to do these vestibules plus these other upgrades. The board resolution on tonight's agenda allows us to add the vestibule project to our long-range facilities plan. This is an important move by the Board of Education because, and I think Mr. Zwirling, you brought it up last time, the state has passed a bond referendum, $500 million for preschool programs, vocational education, and some of it's for safety and security. While we don't know what the criteria is to get some of that grant money, by taking this step, we might be eligible to get some of that grant money, knowing that we'll add this to our long-range facilities plan and make it a priority for the summer. So future resolutions for the Board of Ed will be going out to bid and eventually awarding a bid for the project should we want to move forward tonight. So that's all I have for you. Questions from the Board of Ed or anything I missed too? Yeah, Wayne.
Yeah, one quick.
Sure.
The camera update,
Yeah.
does that include the system that allows the police easier access into the camera views?
Yeah. So the police right now, our Class 3 officer that patrols the schools right now has an iPad that was purchased by the township and has visibility of all of our cameras. So it's connected. And is there a laptop in the station too, Chief?
We have access to it. You know, obviously, we don't keep it up and running all the time.
Right.
If something happens or if we need to access it, we can access it.
I just remember that during our discussions back in March, one of the comments that was made by you and your officers was that the access that we had at that time to it was very convoluted and took a long time to set up. And I was just wondering if the new camera updates included that system that gave them easier access.
I think it's more important that, you know, the secretaries, you know, I call them our first line of defense, are able to see who's coming into the school. And they're, you know, as long as they have it on their cameras and it's working properly, listen, me being able to access it and, you know, the detectives after the fact, we can figure that out. You know, we'll have time to do that. I'd much rather have the personnel that are, you know, the right personnel accessing it. And that iPad is working out great because if Brian's at 3 Bridges, he can still look at White House.
Right.
You know, if somebody calls and says, do you know who this person is? He can access that camera. And, you know, if he's just sitting in his car, he can be looking at a camera. So I like it a lot.
Good.
Let's see.
Where did the estimates come from? I mean, that's a lot of money, but it
Yeah.
doesn't seem that high
For 4 vestibules. It came from our architects. So they came out, we talked with them, Jason, I want to say back in early fall, with this as a potential. They came out and did some measurements and they did drawings. And based on the drawings, so that's the estimate that they came up with. Now, remember, it's just an estimate. This is still a public bid project. So we'll have to go out to bid to get a final number. Correct. Anything else to add? No. Okay. Yes, Eric.
Is there any data on school security breaches, where they originate? I mean, are the vast majority of them front door? I mean, I have no idea. I mean, do people ever come in, a back door, a gym door, or something like that?
I honestly, I don't have that information. Chief, I don't know if you have any of that data. You
As
should.
far as our schools,
No, I mean, just nationally. I mean, I just want to make sure that that we're applying our efforts at the place where the breaches of school security occur.
and I think what you're talking about, as somebody's entering the school, most people are entering through the front door of the school. Is that what you're?
No. I mean, somebody who wants to do evil to our children, do they generally come in through the front door? Or is it somebody dressed, in, fatigues, blasting their way into a back door? When people want to do evil to our
I'd like
kids,
to say that, it's generally, they're either coming in as, a student, into the school and they have access to the school. You have obviously the Newtown where the kid actually breached through the front door.
Oh, he came into the front door?
Right, where he actually shot through the window and then kicked in through the door. Listen, where there's a will, there's a way. I think, that strongly that, if somebody knows that people are being buzzed in through the front of the school, I think that's your main access. Where if there's a back door and you need a key card to get through there, you're probably not going to access that. You'd have to pry it open, something.
Yeah, and I think too that this is from law enforcement's perspective. When we did our walkthroughs of the buildings, this is really the number one priority. And law enforcement talks about, by having the double entry. Right now, an individual buzzes in and they have access to the building. If by having the double entry, they would buzz in and they would have access to only a small window or a small vestibule of area. So if there was anything suspicious, if there was any trouble, if there was anything that a secretary, who we call our first line of defense, notices, at least there's a second set of locked doors. Right now, we don't have that. So this would give us that second barrier, which is important.
Any type of ID scanner being discussed? I know they use one at the high school.
Yeah, we've discussed, we just recently talked about a Raptor system, where you would, scan your ID and then it would print out a visitor badge for you with your picture on it. There's a lobby guard system. It kind of looks like an ATM machine where you would scan your driver's license. So parents or visitors to buildings would scan in and then they would have, a visitor badge or something like that. So yes, and really when it comes to this presentation, there are a lot more things we are doing and will be doing in the future. This is just focusing on the vestibules, but part of that will be purchasing something. It's not part of the project, though. That would be a totally separate piece of the project. Yep. Any other questions?
I just wanted to add something.
Sure.
One of the biggest things that I believe in is just working with, Dr. Hart, if not on a daily basis. I think we
Almost daily, Joe. Almost
recently
daily.
We've been talking on certainly a weekly basis. And I think having these conversations and him bouncing stuff. Listen, I'm new to being the chief and he's new to being the superintendent. So I think we're kind of a good partnership because we're trying to learn from each other. And I say to him all the time, if the school calls me, this is where our priority is. And I think that's probably the biggest hurdle if, the law enforcement and the schools can get through, is just having a relationship to, whether it be a snow day or, something that he wants to bounce off me. I think just working together is, it's really been great, working with them.
4 a.m. phone calls, Chief, on snow days. How are the roads up there? It happened. But yeah, I think that we've talked about that too. And even after we've gotten the schematic drawings from the architects, after we did our safety security plan through Sherry Kryl and our committee, just last week we met, me, you, and Detective Griffiths met, and I showed chief our plans. I said, do you have any other ideas? I showed him the security plans. I said, tell me if there's something we're missing. Having this relationship has been really important. And like you said, even on a weekly basis, I think we touch base with one another to see, how we can work together, and at 4 a.m. on snow days. Any other questions? Thank you, everybody. So agenda item 3.06 under finance is the resolution that establishes adding this project to the long-range facilities plan. Okay. Thank you. Mrs. Simon, that's it for my superintendent's report.
Thank you so much. We are now open to the public, limited to action items on the agenda. Not hearing any, we'll move into correspondence, which we didn't have any. Administrative reports. Can I get a motion to adopt 1.01 and 1.03?
So moved.
Second. Are there any questions or changes? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Doran,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McEwen,
Yes.
Melissa Zanto,
Yes.
Eric Zwirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Pass.
Minutes. Can I get a motion to adopt 2.01, please?
So move.
Are there any changes? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Doran,
Abstain. I was not present.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Rob McEwen,
Yes.
Melissa Zanto,
Yes.
Eric Zwirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Excuse me. Finance and facilities. Can I get a motion to adopt 3.01 to 3.08?
So moved.
Second.
And we have a committee report.
Two. We met on December 3rd. It was a quite lengthy meeting. A lot of big items were discussed. We started with board goals implementation. The Finance and Facilities Committee was responsible for a portion of three of the goals, basically to improve communication, expand community engagement with all stakeholders via the public budget meetings that would be held and the mailing of the annual budget postcard. There's set budget parameters. We've already reviewed the budget calendar and will participate in the development of the budget over the next few months. And then to continue to upgrade and refine safety and security measures, and the committee will continue to discuss these measures along with reviewing budgetary items related to safety and security. For capital projects, as Dr. Hart discussed, we discussed the vestibules. The architects were in attendance. They went over the plans in detail and the associated cost. Again, the estimated cost is approximately $1 million. The three bridges, the cost there will, as presented to us, will increase some. They're expected to, just because some additions. It's more the complicated of the schools. It's just the way the design of the building is. The other schools kind of flow naturally to what we're trying to do with this, and Three Bridges is a little different. Side note, I actually visited today with Dr. Hart and Jason. I'm just not a very visual type person when I'm looking at plans. That space is tight over there, and there's not a lot. The way the plans are presented, it's just what it is. I mean, there's not really anywhere to put walls or the what am I calling it? I call it the teller window. What do we call it? Pass-through window. So there's only certain spots that everything will fit. The office staff, Ms. Siggins is working on the details inside, moving desk around. They need the storage where they're going to lose a closet. So that kind of stuff I was able to look at today. So, but the main construction work, it is what it is. I mean, there's not a lot to where stuff can be moved. So that was Three Bridges. So then all the other schools will be adding the additional walls, doors. There's electrical changes, cameras, access control systems. And then Let's see, and then as Dr. Hart mentioned, the plans were already discussed with Chief Greco, and the committee is recommending approval of this project. The next project discussed was the RMS locker room refresh. The total estimated cost for this is approximately $565,000, and this is only including 2 locker rooms near the new gym and not the locker rooms near the old gym due to the unexpected high cost of the project. We thought we could actually that all 4 would actually come in at that price, but that's not the case right now with the architect's estimates. This project will basically involve leveling portions of the floor around the floor drains, replacing all toilets and urinals, and locker replacement. Due to the ADA compliance changes, both locker rooms will lose toilets and urinals. The girls' locker room will have 1 toilet instead of 2. The boys' locker room will have 1 toilet and 1 urinal instead of 2 each. It's similar to the RMS bathroom project last summer. We had concerns with that, just with the decreased fixtures there. So the architects are actually going back to see if there can be some revisions and see if there's some space in there to actually not lose the fixtures. The locker room, the actual lockers that are in there, as was discussed, the students don't really lock up their stuff like they used to. I mean, it's basically just a place to hang some clothes, change some clothes, and then run back out to the gym. So there's a possibility to not use a standard locker. Maybe there's option just to kind of a cubby concept. This would reduce the cost. The committee has no recommendation at this time until the potential changes are reviewed. There's also going to be an alternate bid added to the locker room refresh. There's a hallway in the RMS where they store the gym mats. It's all open. Students, Tim, there's out there in the open. Students probably jump on them, that kind of stuff. So Mr. Race, our facilities manager, is wanting to build a storage area. So that would entail just building a wall in that hallway, and it have double lock doors. The estimated cost for this is $30,000. Again, this is in the bid process. So if the lowest bid is more than 30, the maintenance staff may perform this work in-house. The committee recommends the approval, but then again, that's tied into the main project of the locker room refresh. So that's the whole thing is going to be reviewed again once the locker room changes come in. And then there are several maintenance projects. So these are outside of the capital projects listings, but this is basically what is performed by our in-house maintenance department. All schools, there's going to be, and this is for security. Again, the walkthroughs, lettering and numbering of entrances and classrooms on the interior and exterior. This is approximately $20,000 RMS. There's painting of classrooms, hallways. Again, these are all estimated costs, so that's $20,000. There's concrete siding, curbing repairs, and painting, $10,000. And then there's if we do the in-house for the mat storage, that would be approximately $10,000. At HBS, we're wanting to convert the computer room into a book room. That's $5,000. Concrete sidewalk and curbing repairs and painting, $10,000. Roof repairs for major problem areas, that's $25,000. And then track repairs and maintenance, as we've previously discussed, and I'll bring this up here in another section, is always needing repairs for the materials that's used over there, and there's drainage issues. So that's about $20,000. At Three Bridges, there's second grade hallway floor lighting and library carpet. It's $40,000. Painting classrooms in the first grade hallway and library, it's $25,000. Concrete sidewalk, curbing repairs and painting, $10,000. And then at White House, there's some concrete sidewalk and curbing repairs and painting needed there. It's $10,000. And then there's going to be some new maintenance budget line items this year that we'll see during the budget process. There's, again, the HBS track maintenance supplies, about $5,000. There's roof repairs, emergency type stuff of $10,000. Air monitoring and remediation of $8,000, and lead testing remediation of $7,000. Then the next item was the HBS track. Mr. Race actually met with an engineer to discuss the drainage issue. The most corrective method would be to perform a complete rebuild of the track. Basically, you're going to tear it all the way down, then build it back up with a proper drainage system. As mentioned prior minutes, this would cost approximately $1 million, once the committee felt was not a reasonable cost. The engineer did provide a secondary recommendation, was to perform only drainage work at the corners of the track, since this tends to be the problematic areas. However, this cost is about $200,000, and there's no guarantee that would actually fix the drainage issues. So the committee is recommending just to continue maintaining, repairing as needed until such time those maintenance costs become unreasonable. The next item is ACES Renewable. The district is currently enrolled in an ACES program. It's to reduce energy cost. The district has been presented with the option to enroll in an enhanced product that will provide green power of 40% renewable energy versus the standard 24%. The opt-in would cost the district approximately $3,000. And the district, and I think Jason did some research on this, could not really determine, there's not really a guarantee of the exact source of that energy. And there would be a possibility that the district would be basically buying back the SRECs that we're actually selling to the open market, which doesn't make sense really. So the Green Committee did not recommend this option, and the Finance Committee is also not recommending this opt-in option. There are the paraprofessional dental options. As previously discussed, the dental plan was offered to the paraprofessionals and bus drivers. Thus far, at the time at this meeting, there was minimal enrollment, and there must be at least 10 enrollments from this group of individuals, so the plan would be canceled by the insurer for this particular group. Field trip rates for 2019-20. Field trips fees are usually paid by parents at the beginning of the field trip for all field trips. A component of this fee is the bus driver and bus costs. The bus fees, however, depend on if the driver is a district driver, which would be $23, a branch board driver, $33, and then if none of those are available, it would an independent driver of $43. So the problem is that the driver availability is not known at the beginning of the year. Then the district must then ask the parents for the additional fee or absorb the extra cost. So the recommendation is just to charge a flat bus fee of $33, and the committee supports this recommendation. For cafeteria aides, we discussed the practice of allowing bus drivers becoming cafeteria aides if the employee is requesting additional hours. Generally, the employee requests additional hours if they're looking to qualify for health benefits. The committee agreed that this should only be on a school needed basis. So if RMS needs the aid and an employee is requesting more hours, then if it's a fit, then it would work. Audit report timing. The audit is substantially complete. However, the state's not provided the state employee pension information that's needed in the footnotes to the audit report. So the plan is to present this audit to the committee in January, and then the full board after that. Or I'm sorry, it's just to present it to the committee, isn't it? Yeah. So that will take place in January 2019. Budget timeline process. We reviewed the budget timeline with no changes. The final timeline will be provided later. An invitation will be sent to the Township Committee with the public hearing date so that any questions, comments can be explained during the budget process and before budget approval. You're going to see the other financial agenda items tonight. Most items are standard except for equipment surplus auction and carryover funds related to ESSA. And the committee is recommending approval of the agenda items. Bill lists, usual items. And the committee, we also discussed club stipends with no recommendation at this time. And next meeting is scheduled for January 8th. And that's my report.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the agenda items or the minutes?
Two questions, one question, one comment. In the locker room, I understand that we're going away from lockers and going to cubbies.
Just looking at all the options.
Look at the options?
Yeah.
Okay,
We may not be, and even the architects had some, alternatives of different tiered lockers and things like that. But, we're looking at any option to refurbish the locker room and replace the lockers.
Even having like a cubby for clothes and then maybe a little lockable item up there to put a cell phone or kids carry wallets or whatever. Just, but options right now instead of the full metal lockers.
Full-size locker.
Yeah, that's probably not needed anymore.
That answers it.
Okay.
And then as far as the question about the renewable option, I'll address that. In the ACES contract, and I'll discuss it in a minute, so I can commit.
Oh, okay.
Sounds good.
Ray, when you went over this morning, or Dr. Hart,
Mhm.
did you find out about the sink?
Yes. So there is a sink that's currently there. And I guess the question was, is it used? And
And can it be, because it would be useful to use that wall, I guess,
I know,
for
it
that
would be.
storage area.
It's used. I
How
think that
much?
in talking to Mrs. Higgins every day.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's in a spot that we would like to be able to use that area. And I just think it would be, from what I recall of the committee, it would be even cost prohibitive to move it to a different location. But it is used. There's a microwave there for lunch,
Coffee pot.
coffee pot,
It's-
and there's hand washing and things like that. But the sink is there and it's used often. I think one of the secretaries almost started to,
Cry.
yeah. If we threaten to move her sink
And,
or
and
take away the
it's,
sink.
and it's actually tucked into the wall kind of, so it's set
Yeah.
back. So even if you removed it, I don't know how much space or what
gonna
you could actually gain,
And there's storage above it too, so if
Yeah.
we're looking for storage options, because the plans potentially remove some storage area. There is storage there. How much it's used, I didn't go rummaging through cabinets or anything, but it is used. And the quote was, yes, every day.
Okay. Any questions on the agenda items pertaining to finance and facilities? Not hearing any, can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Doran,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
yes.
Carol Hample,
Yes.
Ron McKalen,
Yes.
Melissa Zanto,
Yes.
Alex Whirling,
Yes.
Anna Shen,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes. Education technology, can I get a motion to adopt 4.01 and 4.11?
So moved.
Second.
We have a committee report.
Yes, we do. The committee met on December 6th. We talked about some technology updates. Our Chromebooks in sixth grade are, let me back up, I'm sorry, bear with me. Our Chromebooks have a refresh cycle, and we're up to refresh some of them. What we're looking to do is take some of the newer Chromebooks that were just recently purchased on the same cycle as some in RMS, but that are in White House and Three Bridges, move them up to sixth grade. So that all of RMS is on the same cycle. And then get some newer devices for Three Bridges and White House School. The new Chromebooks that we would be purchasing would go to second and third graders into elementary schools. And the request is to purchase 327 for them and start a one-to-one initiative in those two schools. The Chromebooks at that level will stay in the classroom and will be kept on racks. They will not be taken home. Our smart boards are nearing their end of life. At RMS, the current smart boards are 8 to 10 years old. They require Windows 7 to run. As of January 2020, Microsoft will be ending the life of Windows 7. So they're not going to support any updates with it. So it means that we need to decide which direction we're going to go in. Texpo is coming up. Our representatives will be looking at the new technology that could potentially replace the smart boards and see what else we could do, what other avenues we can go in order to refresh, reuse, repurpose, or even replace. Internet filtering came up. We currently use a cloud-based program that is working. It's just not working as well as it was expected. Our district seems to be beyond the capabilities of this program. The recommendation is to pull out of the cloud-based filtering and to remove all the software that comes with it and do full filtering through our current network and keep it all on premise. And eventually we could change to a subscription-based program that would require an add-on and the firewall for content filtering and management. The committee is waiting for a little more information on this, so I'll have future updates. Some updates on the Aerospace Club. There was or is a meeting.
I'm not meeting
I'm
for this
trying
meeting,
to
just
think
so
of
you-
what the dates are, so they're, again,
It's earlier
sorry.
today.
There's a meeting with the Solbergs and the airport. And a few of the goals for this meeting is to create a connection between the airport and the school district. There used to be assemblies given by the airport and field trips to the airport. And the hope is to see if this is a viable option for the future. Another goal would also be to work with the Solberg Airport and to grow a program that could fit into our curriculum. Alexandria Airport's November meeting was canceled due to the snow. Their December meeting is this week, and we're just waiting for an update if any of our Readington students attended, and how it's going to move forward from there. The Math and Science Department is working to include in their budget for next year the purchase of the Living Lab Kit, which was created by the owner of the Alexandria Airport. And then this way we could, as a district, use it however we choose. I previously reported out on a gingerbread building activity for our gifted and talented students. Currently, the judging for this project has been scheduled for February 1st, and it will be from 11 to 1. I think it was in the Readington cafeteria. And they're looking for some judges or members. And the whole premise of this challenge is that the groups have to plan, budget, and build their houses. And the points are gained by sticking to your budget, sticking to the materials you purchase, following your plan. And basically it's mimicking what would happen on a real life construction site with your building projects. If you have your blueprints and you have your materials, do you stick to it? We had an update on SEL as well. There was an assessment done on our programs. The committee reviewed findings of a needs assessment that was conducted. The district staff was surveyed to see where we are in their opinion and where the staff is on their knowledge, and where the district needs to go and where they would like to see the SEL program go. This will be a future presentation to the board with the full findings. The building SEL committees met with the director or the
Teacher coordinator.
Of SEL and discussed each building's needs and what the strategic plan is and how we're going to foster that. Some goals going forward, district-wide in-services on the 5 competencies, parent in-service offerings, coordinate the SEL in a cross-content and curricular manner, integrate conscious discipline and restorative practices for students requiring more SEL intervention are just some of the future goals that are in mind. We had a follow-up discussion on the diversity of our texts and creating tolerance within our classroom and district and community. There's going to be some future updates and more discussion on this that as it becomes more particular, we'll report out on.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions on the minutes or the agenda items?
Actually, one for the smart boards. Are there other options or? I mean,
Some of the options were, some of the things that were thrown out while we were discussing was a possible Chromecast can be attached to the projector itself and then used to cast onto the whiteboard. The interactive feature could be lost, but at the higher grades that we're talking, the interactive feature isn't used by the touch. There might be a way to bridge the computers to be able to have them interact from each of the computers. Okay. There were other options of an add-on or a extension that could be used to go up on the board. But overall, I think Readington Middle School in particular is getting away from the interactive and the touchscreen portion of it. So, but there's a few that were mentioned, but they each have their own little glitches to go with it.
Okay.
So I think until we have a few really good concrete options, it'd be prudent for us to reserve on that.
And I believe the teachers are going to, you'll see on the agenda, a lot of teachers are going to Texpo where they'll look into things. And I know that some of the teachers this year, even at RMS, I think are looking into other options along with Jim and Sarah and Sherry to see where we want to go, what the next iteration of this is going to be. Okay.
Are there any other questions? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Doran.
Yes.
Ray Egbert.
Yes.
Carl Hample.
Abstain 4.06, yes to the rest.
Rob McEwen.
Yes.
Mrs. Zanto.
Yes.
Eric Swirling.
Yes.
Anna Shin.
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Personnel, can I get a motion to adopt 5.01 through 5.06?
So moved.
Second.
And we had a committee report.
We had a very short meeting on November 26th where we talked predominantly about various staffing matters around the state of the open positions within the district. And that was about it. Very short.
Yeah. And
Our
open,
reports are usually short.
Yeah.
So you're usually short.
a lot of open positions being filled tonight too. It's good.
Okay, are there any questions on the very brief minutes or the agenda items? Not hearing any. Can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Doran.
Yes.
Ray Egbert.
Yes.
Carl Hample.
Yes.
Rob McEwen.
Yes.
Mrs. Zanto.
Yes.
Eric Swirling.
Yes.
Anna Shin.
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes.
Passes.
Communications, you didn't have a meeting, right? All right, and then we're moving into unfinished business. Green Committee, you need your own section.
I'm not the one who writes the agenda.
Who does that around here?
Who knows? Okay, we met on November 29th. We discussed the energy conservations and the solar update. They're currently still working with JCP&L. We are still currently working with JCP&L, Gable and Amoresco to try to resolve some anomalous results with the billing that we've had. There were some questions last time. The numbers are looking much better than they had previously in our last report. The big picture is that we're doing well with conservation. And the graph is showing that though there is some disparity, the lines are starting to come much closer. So that is good news. We're still trying to figure out exactly what the apparent disparity is. There's a lot of data analysis that's going into this. The displays at the educational kiosk displays are up and running at Three Bridges and RMS. Hollenbrook is still having some hardware issues with their display. The solar, the data, the websites are up and running. The data is now up and running. So that now is something that when we talked about that we can start integrating that into the curriculum. The data now is there for its use. The award for Sustainable Jersey Certification on October 23rd, Three Bridges was awarded the elementary champion, and the district was recognized with the Sustainability Makes Sense Award. As far as the contract with ACES for renewable energy, when it was brought in front of the committee, we were told that the decision had to be made by December 7th. We were not aware, the Green Committee was not aware that it had already been seen, also discussed by the Finance Committee. I don't know, did you meet after December 7th or before?
December 3rd.
Okay, so we weren't aware that it was done. But so we were put in a position of making a decision. One of the things that we were very cognizant of was that it would be committing funds without having it been in front of the full board. And we were uncomfortable with that. But what they were offering was there would have been a slight increase in the cost of the electricity. And they said that it would be achieved by, but that the electricity, the source would be, it would be more renewable sourced energy. Question arose was, well, is it that you're buying it specifically from either solar or wind farms or some other renewable source? They said, no, the way that we're going to do that is we're going to purchase additional SRECs. So the question then was, does that necessarily mean that that is going to enhance the market for it, or is it going to enrich somebody who is trading in SRECs? We didn't know. So not having those answers, we said we'd prefer to do more research before we ended up going forward with it. So the questions were posed to the vendor, and we've gotten some responses from them. I can go through it now, but so additional research has been done, and it does appear that what they are proposing to do would actually have benefit. By the act of purchasing those additional SRECs, and then discussion we had retiring those SRECs. What that does is it increases the value of those SRECs, which then moves the market towards building more sustainable, more renewable, whether it's either solar or wind or whatnot. So, but without knowing that, were they necessarily going to retire those SRECs or just trade them to somebody else? It was, we try not to make decisions based on ideology, but rather on facts, and certainly not doing it, quickly. It has to be done by December 7th. No, well, no. No, that's not going to happen. So we now have the additional information, and for the next time that this comes around, we will recommend, having done our homework, that this that this is at least an environmentally appropriate thing. Going on to the rest of the minutes. The detention basin retrofit. There's going to be so the plant growth in the basin. We're going to see seasonality to it. We saw, the very first season. We've only seen it's rough now. We've seen the growth, some initial flush of essentially some weeds, but that it is going to be. It is currently being overseen by Steve Foster of the Township's Environmental Commission. He's closely monitoring it with Princeton Hydro, who was the contractor, and he's very very hands-on with this. And so he's had some discussions with them about taking down some of the growth that's there. That we are now going to see in the spring a flush of color coming with some of the materials that we planted. They're also now going to be taking some additional planting material that has some vertical height, so there's some structure to it. It's not just all down at the level. They specifically, from an aesthetic point of view, they've been looking at it from the height of a child and from the locations of children. So that's purposely for that goal. So they're going to be fine tuning it. There will be a sign that's going to be put up in spring. It's in the April-May timeframe. One of the things that we discussed was that the possibility of us putting on our website something about this, what's going on, but also very purposefully having the Environmental Commission, the Township Environmental Commission, put something on their website pointing to our website, because we have always, as a board goal, can we work, show that we're working with the township, et cetera. So having both of us pointing at each other shows that we're playing nicely with the other elected body of the town.
Eric, can I just let you know that I did reach out to Steve Foster recently to work on a blurb for our website so that we can make that connection. So he said he was going to type something up. I'll review it, and we can make that something happen on our website, and then link with the Environmental Commission to our website to point attention to it.
That's great.
So
Thank you.
we're working on it. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. We talked about the Trout in the Schools program. Did some research on that and found out that the starter costs are approximately $1,100. There are equipment costs for this that have to do with whatever. There are equipment costs. The details you'll hear. But more, I can tell you what they are. I've learned that when I start getting into too many details, people start glazing over. So, anyway. What?
Details are in the minutes?
If you
No,
wonder what they are,
they're not.
I'll share them with you. Okay. Do you happen to have a chiller that's adequate to provide the BTUs necessary? Yada, 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 okay. Because trout have to be grown in 50 to 55 degree temperature water. And if you've got 50 gallons of it, that's a lot of chilling. And that's expensive to achieve that reliably. Are you glad you asked? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, now, but the bottom line is that this thing doesn't happen again until September. So we missed the deadline for it. But there are grants that are available for it, so we're gonna be looking into that. There are a number of other things that we didn't get time to do. Dr. Hart was leaving early, Robin was leaving early, so we tried to truncate the meeting so we wouldn't lose two important members of the meeting. So there were other things that we did not get to during the meeting. One thing, though, that we did start to discuss at some length were propane buses. Laura had discussed this at the meeting, excuse me, when in Atlantic City, the conference down there. There had already been preliminary work done by Dr. Hart and by Jason. We discussed some research that had been done regarding the safety of the buses, that they are, as far as we can find, as safe or safer than diesel or gas buses. We found no incidents that we can find of any sort of safety issues with the buses. There are distinct benefits to them. They are, the fuel costs are lower. There's no need to warm up the engines. You don't have to let them idle for a long time. They are much quieter so that children on the buses are not, they're not exposed to the noise. Additionally, cameras would be able to pick up conversations in the buses. And there's a major reduction in the airborne pollutants, not only for kids who might be standing outside next to the bus, but there's also reductions in a whole, NOx and CO2, et cetera, et cetera. We need to look into more research about the fueling of the buses, options as to, do we fuel them here? Do we have somebody come in? There's a lot of buses that need to be replaced in the next number of years. So this is an issue. There are a number of funding possibilities out there. Volkswagen has been forced in the settlement of the Clean Air Act violations that they did with the diesel fraud that they perpetrated. There's money out there, so that's now available. Jason has already made application for some of that, for that money. There's a number of other grants that are available through the state, et cetera, so we're looking into that. So if we get one of those grants, these buses will also be significantly, if cheaper than gas or diesel buses, if not free. I think that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, it would cover a significant amount of the cost.
And that's that.
I have a question about the trout.
Yes.
No, I think
They're
it's
delicious.
fascinating. I'm just trying to understand. So the students essentially would be growing them until they're mature enough to be released?
Yes.
Okay.
And, and for this district, which, we've got that sign out that says that we're river friendly, for us to have the students see them go from fry to raise them, to understand all about water quality, plus the detention, we could tie this down into the detention base and say that we have all this water that's coming off of our, impervious surface to make sure that we release this into the streams clean. And now we're gonna put trout, which can only survive in clean water. Really start to build a whole package here for the children to understand what we're doing.
Are they going to be where would they be released? I'm not a
I have
fish
no clue.
person, so I don't.
So,
In the trout stream.
yeah, there's a number of trout streams in the area, Holland Brook being one of them.
Hollenbrook?
Holland Brook is one of the trout streams in the area.
Okay.
As you drive along either 523 or Holland Brook Road, you'll notice that there are, in the last week of March, they start posting signs that you must have a fishing license to fish the stream. Those are the streams that are stocked.
Okay. I think that's a really cool concept and venture for the kids to.
And that there are mentors in the district who are with Trout Unlimited. And so it's not just that we have to do this, there are people who are ready to come in and lecture and guide the students. That's another way that we can have the community come in and work with the students. The release could be a big, press, make sure that we have the press there covering this. Good stuff.
This would also, what grade level would be targeted, since I know,
Holland Brook.
well, I'm saying, well, yeah, because I know 4th and 5th grade do the river trip, or 4th grade specifically. They do the river trip. So I'm wondering, like, now that they've learned about the river, if it wouldn't be even a higher grade to bring it full circle now. You've learned all of the basics. Now you're going to actually grow, learn about a living thing, a biology class, and then taking it from there and looping it all the way back around.
I would think that we could put one of these setups in each school, and the child at his or her age could gather the information from it that they can. Much like Lord Flush, you can read it at many levels. So the child, all we need to do is either grant for it or budget for it, approximately $1,100 for each setup, and then we can have one in each school. And they can either just look at it as something pretty and squiggly, or
Another animal.
whatever,
But to your point, there might be a natural place in one of the curricula to put it in under science, where they're already learning about living things and rivers. And, I would defer to Sarah and the teachers and say, where might this be a really great place to start where it fits in naturally?
Regarding the buses, is there a hydrogen cell fueled bus availability yet?
I didn't see that.
I didn't see anything.
the only other thing that's practically available at this point is electric. The costs are,
And
It's 4 times.
the reason I'm saying hydrogen cell is there are hydrogen cell refueling stations beginning to open up in New Jersey. And having a fleet of buses that require that could actually be a revenue source, because the hydrogen cell refueling station is actually inexpensive to build. They don't have the problems that a gas station or a diesel station has. And you could actually become a hydrogen cell fueling, but I don't know if there are buses that are available with that technology yet.
I don't know that there are. I mean, in looking at the number of school transportation documents, I didn't even see that as an option.
Okay.
But the one thing that I would certainly want to see before we did that was a whole bunch of NTS, National Transportation Safety Board data. There is a small amount on propane buses. I can't imagine that there's anything on hydrogen fuel cell.
Check with the California Department of Transportation.
I think I have some of the paperwork from the propane buses, and I'll look, because I want to say there was something other than electric, but I don't remember what it was.
I don't remember either.
And I just remember the 2.
Yeah, I remember the 2 also. And I also remember too, if this is something that we're looking into, and I think at least I'll speak for myself, what I take comfort in with the propane buses is knowing that there are districts in New Jersey that have already moved to this. So, I'm happy to be on the cutting edge and have Readington be, ahead of the curve on a lot of things. Hydrogen cell bus, I don't know anything about it. And I don't know if anybody else knows anything about it, but it's something certainly worth looking into and checking with, California. But I know that at least with looking into propane buses, they've been in pockets of New Jersey and then even places like Alaska, right?
Okay.
Where, they're a proven entity, if you will.
They are a proven entity at this point in time.
Mhm.
They are not research technology anymore.
Right. Is that it for green?
Anything else?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you. Are there any other unfinished business items that you'd like to bring up?
I'll only say that the cookies and baked goods that my wife made are unfinished and they need to be finished so we don't take them home. So please pass them around.
Again,
I don't know if this is unfinished or new, but the screenagers.
We could put it under unfinished because I think we talked about it as new business last time.
I
And you
think
went
so.
to the the JP Case showing, right?
I went to, JP Case.
Yeah.
And Robin went to Branchburg, right?
Yeah.
Dr.
Hart and I went.
Yeah, I went to
Right.
Branchburg too. Yeah.
So I don't know if we were, I know we were talking about possibly bringing it to Readington. So I don't know if that's a committee level thing or when we discuss that, if we want to do it.
I could put it under ed tech. What I would like to do, and I think Flemington and Readington did, is show it to the administrative team also. There's value. I don't know what your thoughts are. There's definitely value in it, but when Robin and I saw it, well, a couple of things. One, it's already been shown in 2 local districts. So, and then we've advertised to Readington parents. So at this point, I wouldn't advertise to do another showing here in Readington until probably the spring, late winter, spring, because there have been 2 opportunities already. There's a small fee. I want to say you have to purchase it for maybe $600-700
I think it
or
was
something like that.
$650.
Yeah. But it's got 2 components, a parent component, which is what we saw, and there's also a student component too. And if we were to do it, I'd like to do the full complement, but I'd like to get the input of the administrative team first and see what power we can get out of something like this, and then bring it to a committee. So it's certainly, I'm not against it at all. I think it's worthwhile, but I think we need a little distance between the most recent showings and then us so that we can garner some parental interest, if you will.
Perhaps even, late spring, like almost before summer when there's a lot of downtime for kids.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. But I'll keep you posted and we'll bring it up in ed tech.
Okay.
How's that? I feel like this would be ed tech. Yeah. Okay.
Any other new business or unfinished business? Going into new business. Do we have any new business from the board? Well, I'll say my goodbye now to both of you. I wrote up something. So I'll start with Melissa. So I want to thank you for the past several years. You've given up your time with your family to be here early in the morning on committee meetings or late staying for board meetings. I appreciate your insightfulness when making decisions, thought-provoking questions leading to those decisions, and your level-headedness for those tough decisions that were before us. These are all important qualities of a board member and a leader. I want to especially thank you for the reminders throughout the years to the board and the administration. While it is great to see the numbers increasing for algebra and algebra 2, that we need to stay focused on the grade level students to help them to be more successful. Wayne. Where do I start?
I think you're done.
You thought you could get away, but we brought you back, and I'm very thankful that you did. There was a hole that was in our negotiations committee, and I'm very thankful that you came back and you helped us button that up successfully, and that we were able to put that behind us and move on. So thank you for that. I'm also thankful for all the years that you've been on the board, for your honesty, for all your comments, where sometimes people are thinking things and you said them. And let's not forget about the candy, which a lot of us don't eat anymore because we've had too much candy. But it was all fun, and I want to thank you for that. So with that being said, I wish both of you much success and a lot of nice, quiet evenings, and happy holidays.
You're not getting rid of me that easy.
So,
Thank you.
any other unfinished business? No, new business, sorry. If not, we're open to the public. Anything on or off the agenda? No. We're going to move into executive then. Can I get a motion to adjourn to executive session? In
So
accord-
moved.
Whoa, in accordance with the sunshine law. Do- discuss a student matter, him, and legal matters for approximately 30 minutes, at which time the board expects to return to public session where action will not be taken. The matters discussed will be made public if and when the circumstances requiring confidentiality no longer exist. However, it is not presently known when such circumstances will exist. That was Wayne and,
Anna, so
Anna.
moved. Second.
okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Wayne Dorn,
Yes.
Ray Egbert,
Yes.
Carol Ample,
Yes.
Rob McHale,
Yes.
Mrs. Zanto, Eric Swirling,
Yes.
Anna Shin,
Yes.
Laura Simon.
Yes. 8:05. Happy holidays.
Thank you.